Union County, some of the cheapest, poorest farm ground. It was $300 an acre. You couldn't grow a thing on it. But my grandfather bought about 20 acres right off of Industrial Parkway. And about 6 months later, they built a ready-mix plant. And people made fun of him. You built a ready-mix plant literally out in the middle of nowhere in Union County in the poorest farm ground around. Well, it was about another 6 months after that Honda announced they were building a motorcycle plant. And so our family, and my dad, my grandfather, and me even growing up, Honda changed our family's life because we were able to provide a lot of the concrete and the construction materials for all of those plants. And really, to be honest with you, part of it was just pure luck. You know, people said that, oh, there's some inside connection that my grandfather knew Jim Rhodes and had some kind of insider information. Nope, I wish it was, you know, something really cool or weird or funny like that. Nope, it was just darn luck. And so, you know, I drive a Honda product, always drive a Honda product because it changed my family's life. My mom had a Hallmark shop. So in the 1980s, how many of you remember the curio cabinet collectible years in the 80s and 90s? Precious Moments, Cherished Teddies. And then, of course, people say, how did you fund your first real estate deal? And I tell them my secret. It was my Beanie Baby collection, truthfully. Yes, you know, Beanie Babies. No, I did get paid in Beanie Babies. And one of my first entrepreneurial experiences, and I had a 1994 Ford Explorer. So proud of that Explorer. I drove it down to Trader's World, and I was dealing Beanie Babies out of the pack when they were the hot thing. Those Princess Di Bears, man, they were a good gig. But no, in all seriousness, like the DNA of like, I had it really lucky because I had two really good parents. I grew up working with them in the family business, and if you want to flip out your very traditional conservative small business parents, you tell them you're going to go to a liberal arts college and be a music major. That's what I did. So I'm actually a classically trained musician. I love to perform. I spent a big part of my life performing. But came back to Bellefontaine after graduating college, and a lot of things had changed. My mom's business went out of business. That was a painful thing. It just, you know, people weren't buying the Hallmark ornaments like they used to. The men's clothing store in our town that had been there for almost 70 years, Huber Buckenroth, when I was 13 years old, learned how to tie a tie at Jim's store, and he closed, and the big box pharmacies came in, and a lot of things just changed. So you know, the buildings could be purchased for practically a song in Bellefontaine. So before I really bought my first building, I joined what was our Main Street board. Back in about 2005, 2006, a group of business people came together, hired Heritage Ohio to do a dark visit, and we charted out to become state and nationally certified as a Main Street community. So part of the 4 points approach when I joined as a volunteer is I learned about promotions. You got to be able to market yourself, design, and one of the things that our community lacked was design guidelines. What are the parameters we want our historic district to look like? And then it was the organization of things. I had never served on a board. And this is another thing that we have a responsibility as leaders to teach younger people the importance of governance. So when you serve on a board, it's not just about you or your beliefs, it's about your bylaws and the rules that govern what you're trying to do, and being around other mentors that teach you how to run a meeting, how to create an agenda, how to send out minutes. Like the benefit of the Main Street for me at that time as a volunteer is I was learning and watching other leaders as they were doing these things, and then they were teaching me how to use my voice, how to speak up to add to the conversation. And I've always loved this statement, to the good of the order, okay? To the good of the order. Why do we have conversations and do things that benefit the overall group, okay? So with that, what happened with Main Street is that I got to serve on promotions committee, got to serve on design. I later became a member of the board, which was a huge deal for me. Then I became board chair, and when we lost our city and county funding because of the economic crisis in 2007 and 2008, we couldn't maintain our budget, and we had to let go our executive director. And that was a very painful time because we just felt like we were getting our momentum and getting things going. But then I realized we were spending a lot of time having meetings, but we weren't getting action. So that got me excited to create a for-profit business that would work with our city and county partners to actually then go do the things that we were studying and learning, but not having the handcuffs of governance. Now, I don't want that to be communicated or understood as that we don't need a chamber of commerce, we don't need a tourism bureau, we don't need a Main Street, we need all of those things. But we need developers and people that are on the outside and businesses on the outside that actually listen to those ideas, and even if they get stuck in committee, that they've got the tools and resources to go do, okay? So that is kind of how the iteration of my company came out, as I was frustrated working in the nonprofit, frustrated working in the committees, and felt like we weren't getting action, that I felt I could build a company that believes in all those values and principles that Heritage Ohio and Main Street provides, but then actually goes and does. So developing places, spaces, and dreams. Many of you have heard and seen some of the things I've shared in previous presentations. You know, Bellefontaine, underrated town, but had a huge amount of history. George Bartholomew in 1891 invented concrete pavement in Bellefontaine, Ohio, and it just shows that 100 plus years ago, places like Marysville and Bellefontaine, there were innovators and creators and doers, and our towns were thriving. They were home to retail. They were home to companies that began on Main Street that became international companies like JCPenney's. This is a postcard of the town. And the issue is that sometimes buildings go through these life cycles where they sit vacant and empty, or they're underutilized, and the wrong type of business types are in the downtown and Main Street that are not generating the traffic, energy, and buzz, when we may look at upper floors or basements or other properties around that these types of businesses that were in the downtown at some point in time could be repurposed or relocated in other areas that have a higher and better use for whatever that business type is. So fast forward today, we're about 56 buildings in. It has been 70 plus hours a week. It has been heads down, hard work, working with the city, working with the chamber, working with Main Street. But about after year 5 and year 10, we started getting incremental momentum because people started seeing changes and success. Entrepreneurs started making money, and when an entrepreneur makes money, typically they're motivated to start a second business or a third business because that's who they are and how they're wired. And if you go to town and you meet some of our entrepreneurs, many of them have second, 2 businesses, sometimes some of them have 3. And that we want to encourage those kinds of things. And it is about buying and investing in historic buildings, recruiting tenants, finding ways to partner people up, because when they share equity, maybe they can get better terms with their bank for a loan, or they can spread the risk over more types of people. And then you have to get them access to capital so they can buy inventory, and then you've got to promote and market, promote. We have the responsibility to promote and scream from the rooftops how cool certain things are in our towns and our neighborhoods. And many of you have heard the story of 600. Brittany was the first catalyst. When she opened up her restaurant, 600 downtown, people started thinking differently about Bellefontaine because of the kind of food and menu and experience that was offered there. And again, the visuals of the pictures make a big difference, right? Doing things that make people a little uncomfortable. And this is about ripping the Band-Aid off of working with your public partners. You can imagine when the ask was taking away 3 parking spaces in the public right-of-way to benefit a for-profit business to sell alcohol in a public right-of-way. Doing this 10 years ago, it was like unheard of. Since COVID and the doors and how everything's changed, it's becoming much more normalized. But can you imagine what people said on the Peak of Ohio website about me when I suggested that this was a good idea? I was not a very popular person, right? Ruining the town, okay? But this is the kind of stuff that maybe you have to rip the Band-Aid off to be a little bit uncomfortable, to do something big and bold in your towns and your communities and your businesses, because you don't want to be stuck doing the middling many. There is no slower way to die than to try to act and be like every other small town in Ohio. That if that's what Marysville is going to do, you might as well roll up and close up shop now, because we have to be different, and we have to be Marysville, and we have to figure out what our voice and identity is here. Of course, I don't need, if you've not been to 600, if you have been a visitor, you know what I'm talking about when their product is just really special. It's really good. Love to highlight that. Same thing with the bearded guys. I think some of you have heard me tell the story of Jeremy and Brian and Adam. They founded a club in our town called the Bellefontaine Body Bearding Club. I'll just be honest, it was a group of guys, 28 guys, that would compete in bearding competitions around the country, and I would bet you 80% of Logan County labeled them as weird, okay? But here's the thing I found, is the only way I win and our community wins is we need to get to know the weird people. Like, I want to embrace our weird, and let's find out who these guys are. Well, their passion, I got to know these guys' heart. They saved and worked to raise money to save and restore our Holland Theater, just like the theater we're here in the Avalon. These guys hosted other bearding competitions around the country in Bellefontaine that raised thousands of dollars to save and restore the theater. That got other people to want to write really big checks when they saw the activity, the life, the energy of the theater. You fast forward, I think, $6 or $7 million later, the Holland's fully restored and a beautiful asset to our community. Plus, they got the courage and inspiration to work with me and others to create the Brew Fountain at Bellefontaine, which that building did not have a roof, did not have a floor, is a pretty darn cool place today. How this happens is partnership. So the Brew Fountain wouldn't be successful if it hasn't been for Carly and Hannah and their bakery out of their home that moved to the farmer's market that started manufacturing the mustache pretzels that were on the Brew Fountain menu that were made locally by these two girls because they could make them cheaper and better than Brew Fountain could in their own kitchen, which lowered the labor cost because if Brew Fountain has to bring in 2 employees 3 or 4 hours early in the morning to prep to make pretzels, it was actually a lot more money and more expensive than hiring these people that are expert at making pretzels to offer that in the menu. And then when you go to Brew Fountain and you order the mustache pretzels, it pays homage to the Bearded Club, but let me just give you a little inside secret to the business model. The pretzels cost $1 to buy that supports the business for the pretzel makers, but you go to Brew Fountain, the menu, and you order the mustache pretzels. There's 2 of them that are sold for $7.95, and the servers are so well trained that they'll also say, would you like to try our locally made mustard from Jackson Center from Saucy Sal's? Would you like me to include that? And would you like to also have us include the house-made beer cheese? What do you think the conversion rate is on those asks? 80%. So $2, $2. It takes an appetizer almost $11.95 when you've got probably about $3 in it. Do you see the profitability on that? And let me just tell you, I am not bashful about profit. I want my entrepreneurs making as much profit that they possibly can because I know that profit fuels new investment, economic development, hiring employees. It builds the whole thing, but that's the secret sauce. We have to partner up with the other businesses in our area. The coolest thing about these 2 sisters is they have just opened up this really wild, fun brunch restaurant in the Main Street Marketplace in the downtown called the Morning Riot. And I have to say, when I first saw the paint colors and some of the choices of the octopuses on the wallpaper, flying saucer artwork that aliens are landing in different parts of the restaurant, it is bold, it is funky, but it is every bit of who they are and their personality. And if you have not eaten there, you will want to eat there because the food is not only good, but it is a whole experience. But that's the kind of stuff that normally, this may make some people, and I'll be honest, I'm 42 years old, and when she first presented some of this, I'm trying to watch my facial expressions and like, oh, wow. It's like, but then I started actually putting it in front of some of our younger employees, and they were like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. I can't wait to share this on TikTok. There's all these kind of things, and it helped me understand I need to be open and changing my lenses for what we're doing and how I'm thinking about things. But so the experiment at Brew Fountain was successful, and we were talking earlier with Matt here in the audience about craft beer, and a lot of us in the restaurant industry are really trying to figure this out because craft beer was the mainstay and a really great line profitability for bars and restaurants. But about a year and a half ago, it is trending, sales are trending down, and there's a saturation point, and also we're seeing people in our restaurants consume less alcohol, which Probably is a good thing overall for us, but like it's a big issue in the business model of sit-down dining restaurants because that is a really important key of where you actually make your money. As food costs are going up, labor costs are going up, our utilities just right now, we are at AES in Logan County, and our deregulated contracts with the city of Bellefontaine just expired. Our electric bills went up 40%. So somewhere those costs have to be either pushed in menus or you've got to achieve savings in other areas. So we're trying to figure that out. But I would say one of the things the syndicate has done, which is next to Brew Fountain, is a sit-down dining restaurant that includes, and I'm not going to say fancy, or it is what we call elevated food, because if you come across as too nice in a market like Union County or Logan County, people would just say this is just for date nights or it's just for anniversaries. We have a $14 burger on the menu at Brew Fountain that's excellent, or at the syndicate that's excellent, but there's also a $47 steak. And the steak, what I'm here to share about this is the steak actually comes from Stembles Meats, which is a local producer. It's not coming from a Gordon or a Cisco, which most of the restaurants are buying from. But that steak is also, there's a butcher shop that just opened up directly across the street from this syndicate called the Butcher and, Nick, help me out here, Butcher Market, thanks guys. But the connection of putting their meats on the menu at the syndicate has been a huge win for the restaurant, and they've saved money. Co-working, having shared office spaces, third spaces in town that people can do pop-up events. Just spoke with our State Farm team, like they are doing some renovations in their office and need a place to work out for a while. Having these kinds of spaces not only foster entrepreneurship, but get utilization in your downtown, that also those people are buying coffee. They're eating in the restaurants at lunch, and that's been a huge thing with starting it in Bellefontaine. Marysville's the second location, Pickwa's the third. We want to see, just like with Stacia and her business, we want to see more of these places for people to convene, party, connect in our towns and communities, because it brings that traffic and that life in. This is kind of the before and after of that. It's also anchored with the Flying Pepper Cantina. If you guys have not eaten there, Laura and Humberto, I think, have some of the most authentic, best Mexican food. We are so excited to be here in Build Marysville. There was the history of that building. It was the Lamplighter restaurant for many years and then became the MEC, or the Marysville Entrepreneurship Center. Now it's Build Co-working Space. A big shout out to the city. And this is a really point of pride that should be for the city of Marysville, the facade grant program. We were an applicant for that, and we're able to improve that facade. And I know there's other facades that are being improved here. But just creating a great place that people can meet, hang out, co-work. If they've been working in their home or have a shared job, now there's a place in the Uptown that they can do that, that they can work. And its membership starts at $99 a month, so it's affordable too. This is Bo and Jane. These are people that you will see here in the Uptown. Really proud to work with them. Bo, both of them are hospitality focused, but Bo in particular, why I just love his story. When he interviewed for the community manager position, his resume only included 2 jobs. One of them was Taco Bell, and the next one was he was a manager at a Waffle House in Grove City. And if you have not been to the Grove City Waffle House, you'll know it's one of the busiest Waffle Houses in the entire state, and he had been there for 1.5 years as the manager. Anyone that can work a 24-hour shift, cook, clean the bathrooms, and still come in with a positive attitude every day is someone I want to work with and someone I want to hire. Bo is one of the most gifted, giving people, and he is an IT genius. So if you have an issue getting on your Zoom or your Teams, he will resolve that. But these are the kind of people that I'm proud to work with, and that are also here in the Uptown doing really good things. So what's coming is the Luminary event space, so paying homage to the Lamplighter. The basement and lower level of Build is going to become a event space that can accommodate small parties, weddings, and events. And we are probably within about 2 or 3 months of bringing that online. So just excited to have that here in the Uptown. This is one that's especially meaningful, and I wanted to share this as an idea for business recruitment and retention. So I mentioned my mom, she closed her Hallmark store kind of in the 05, 06. went out of business, and then kind of took some time off to focus on grandkids. So my sister has 3 kids. My mom was a big part of helping care for them. But now that they're in school and a little bit older, she kind of came back to me and said, listen, like I'm 67 years old. I feel like I've got a lot of life to live, and I learned a lot in my first half of my career being a business owner. I don't want to be on a beach somewhere, like retiring. Like, I want to work. I want to do. And there is a lot of retired executives from Honda, from a lot of the suppliers around here. She has united what I call the gang of grandmothers. They are a force in our town, and they are starting businesses, shops, jumping on boards, and creating just stuff. What I love about it is they're mentoring the younger versions of themselves. So the funniest thing my mom says is like, I just don't understand. I walk into so many shops in other towns, and the clerk is literally on their phone and doesn't even greet me. She's like, in my day of retail, the minute the door opened, you're up, you're smiling, you're welcoming, you're saying, what brings you in today? So she's kind of working to help these younger people understand, and then vice versa. The younger people are saying, Sherry, you can't post that on Facebook. Okay? Not appropriate. But like, so, it's like this fine balance. And what I'll say is that's what the neat thing, that I think we have a role here with Main Street Marysville and with our communities. The different tribes, we need to make the tent very big. We need to understand that when we make decisions, you're lucky if you can get decisions that please 60% of people. But it may be very 50-50, and you may walk away from that meeting and say, you know what, we're going to try it this way this year, but we're going to take really good feedback and learn to be better next year. The other thing I'll just share is that the Gang of Grandmothers are doing some unique things. The combined retail hours, and this is not easy because if the traffic's not there, you can't afford to spend the labor hours, or every bit of time a shop owner's in their business, it's away from their family. So it's a sacrifice. So it's finding out what are the busiest hours in Uptown Marysville. And it just happened to be what's happened in Bellefontaine. We've become a very weekend-friendly town. Part of it is with Indian Lake being 15 or 20 minutes away. People, if it rains at Indian Lake, Bellefontaine becomes, we found this through experimentation and testing and getting feedback, Bellefontaine's the place to go for axe throwing, for indoor putt-putt, for eating, for antiquing. And that's where the shop said, why don't we really double down to expand Sunday hours? But we need a day of rest, and to retool and deep clean, we are closing down on Mondays. So very few of our retailers are open on Mondays. Very few of our restaurants are open on Mondays. And I had never understood until I got in the restaurant business of why restaurants were closed on Mondays until I understand that managers need a mental health day. You need a time to do a deep clean in the restaurant, and you need a chance to repair equipment. So I'm fully in support of Mondays being closed, but here's the thing. Brew Fountain and the Flying Peppers stay open on Mondays because they win, and Mondays are some of their busiest days. And that's okay. Remember, the tribes, you may not all agree on something, but some people just naturally need to be the contrarian and do the opposite of what everyone else does. I'm okay with that. Like, if that's where you're going to make your money, what you want to do, just don't throw daggers at the other people that make those decisions, right? So another thing I'll just share is a strategy. If you come to downtown Bellefontaine on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night, anytime between 5 and 7, you're probably going to wait about a half an hour to 45 minutes to get into some of the restaurants. So the Gang of Grandmothers have accosted all the hosts in the restaurant to make sure that the hosts are armed with the free, this is just one example, there's many others, the free chocolate tasting coupons. So if you hit a host stand at 600, the host should have some type of coupon offer or experience, whether it is the pumpkin barrel jack-o'-lantern, we're calling it a scavenger hunt, whether it is the historic walking tour or the free chocolate tasting. What we found is that people will stay in the air traffic control pattern until their table is paged, but while they're walking around doing all these things, what do you think they're doing? Spending money. They're shopping. The chocolate coupons, why they're giving away a free truffle or a free chocolate sample, That conversion rate, I think, is around 40 to 50% because the salespeople were like, after you've eaten that peanut butter cup that's made by DeBrand Chocolates that's in Fort Wayne, Indiana, how does it make you feel? And I'm like, oh my God, this is the best peanut butter cup I've ever had. Oh, by the way, we're offering a discount on the 3-pack tonight. Would you like to take one with you? It is just good old-fashioned sales. And if you've not experienced, if you want to go in, you do it on your own. The gang of grandmothers have a discipline to teach this because it actually translates to real results for the stores. Now, this is probably the big one, and I'm kind of known, I have to be honest, I do break a lot of rules. And I don't do it intentionally, but I do help towns and communities realize that sometimes the rules they have in place are so rigid and so difficult to navigate that it basically stifles anyone from doing big, bold, cool things. So this is Rainbow Row Bellefontaine. This is probably the most recent and biggest project we've done. There's not a single color that met the historic guideline, historic color palette on this list, okay? But here was my pitch to the historic commission was like, guys, has anyone in the room, and I'll ask this group here, have any of you been to Charleston, South Carolina? So Charleston is one of the most historic cities in our country, and there's a part of Charleston, South Carolina called Rainbow Row. So that Rainbow Row in Charleston, South Carolina is one of the most photographed important places in that entire town. You go to Google, you type Charleston, South Carolina, you're going to see pictures under the image tab of Rainbow Row. I wanted that for Bellefontaine because as we're trying to become more of a tourism, hospitality-focused town, I wanted to embrace our weird, find a way to build an arts district, and rip off the Band-Aid to incorporate new, vibrant, fun colors that make this town distinctive. So luckily, the city, we got the approval. This is now Rainbow Row. It is home to really cool businesses that bring, creativity and vibrancy. And then if you go visit today, we created our miniature Umbrella Avenue, which is paying homage to what was a beautiful alleyway over in Barcelona, Spain, later over in Paris. Of course, there's another one here in Ohio. We created our miniature version of that because I'm trying to create as many place-making activities that people can take selfies, can take senior pictures, can come walk the streets and want to be a part of the downtown, and then they'll go post it on social media and tell other people about it. Our Umbrella Avenue total investment was probably about $800. I would probably say there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures taken there in the last 6 months that it's been on. Now, it takes maintenance. Every time it storms, we gotta make sure those umbrellas get put down. Every time we have an umbrella that goes bad, we gotta replace it. Those are all of those kinds of things that, as the property developer, we're doing those things. But I kind of see that vision for Marysville as where are we gonna create those place-making experiences and those points of pride that when people come into Union County, they want to go get their picture there. They want to go make sure they go to that area. And there's lots of new and unique investments and projects that are happening here that I think we're going to see more of that. So to wrap up, and I do think this statement is one that we leave today with some excitement and some energy to work with our tribes, to work with our city partners, is how, and this is the question I want to ask, the communities that thrive are the communities that help all people make new ideas happen. And even if those ideas make us feel uncomfortable, what I like to try to do to work with city officials and leaders is that maybe the way the code is written today, or maybe the way the town is perceived today, or maybe the way the building looks today, the immediate answer is no. But one of my mentors taught me that no is just a delayed version of yes. We just have to keep asking the question other ways. And I think that's the chart, in the charge that I have for, as we're getting this momentum and this energy going in the Uptown, is there's a lot of negative that we can focus on, or we can say that this group isn't doing enough, or this tribe doesn't understand. But make the tent very big. Let's pick a few key projects that we can focus on to get some energy and momentum. And let's bring and partner up with our city partners to say, this is what we need from you. This is where, where we see as the business community and as the building owners and as the people that are living, working on the streets of this downtown neighborhood, this is what we need from you. how can we partner up to better work together on what we need to be successful? And I think just walking away with that statement that we want, because when we do that, the neighborhood's successful, and other people see that the neighborhood's successful working together, more people want to be a part of that. So let's make this tent very big and keep this momentum going. This year, I try to drop an email every Friday of just things that I'm seeing around the state or around the country that are unique, good ideas. It's a free email list to subscribe to. You're welcome to sign up by just clicking that QR code, or I can give you my business card here at the end. But my team member Nick is here in the back, and he has some free resources in our case studies. You're welcome. It's right at the back table as you go outside here. You're welcome to grab any of that. But I want to be respectful of everyone's time, because I know you've got it all back to businesses and things to do. But we do have a few minutes for Q&A, if that works, Leslie. Does that work for you? Okay. So Leslie's got a microphone, and I'm just going to hear if you have something that you want to bring up or you're curious about, or maybe it's a problem that you're seeing that you think we maybe can discuss this morning. I'd love to hear a few questions this morning.
I don't have a question. I'm one of the microphone people.
Ooh, that's good.
Oh.
I don't need a microphone. I mean,
Oh.
okay.
Well, she's not the microphone. Just rendered me unemployed.
We probably have the same question, so go ahead.
I was going to ask you just what role you think philanthropy plays in developing public-private partnerships, whether it's purpose-related investments, community development funds, where you found success trying to help facilitate.
Well, there's no question it takes money to do any of this. So what I'd like to do is to find people that have money, and you're right. Yeah, people that have money. So what with that, there are people that have good ideas. That's one tribe. There are people that have money, and there's government and organizations that kind of want to facilitate those two people talking. What I think people that have money and have worked hard to do it, they want to see it make a positive impact. And so that may be through charitable funds to your local foundation, to United Way, to your church, wherever you feel your time, treasure, and talent needs to be devoted to. I think another path that is maybe not talked about enough is investing in social enterprises. So in the beginning, like, yes, I'm a for-profit business, but many of the deals and projects I do, no other investor, if they were purely looking at profit, they would actually ever think of doing. But what's been helpful is that we've had a few home runs that have worked really well, that have helped us build a war chest of money to help with small private money loans of $50,000 or less for that baker to buy an oven, for that boutique to inventory up. Because traditional bank financing does not help those people. And so, and again, when I first started out, I was kind of one of those people. And banks wouldn't lend me money to save old historic buildings. So I think we have a responsibility of utilizing funds to help the next generation that's got the hustle, the drive, the good ideas, so they can build their empire. And it's the kind of that cycle to like give back. The other thing I think community foundations, particularly, I'll share one example. Bryan, Ohio, is direct investing in buying buildings in their town to lease to other people. It just happens Bryan, Ohio is home to Spangler Candy Company, which is one of the largest makers of candy canes in the world, and they also happen to make Dum Dum Suckers. Their water tower in their town is a Dum Dum Sucker. In the downtown, they've also opened up their museum and their destination candy store, which is called Spangler Candy World. Those are big, bold ideas of taking large company, and you see that example here with Scott's and others, but like, how do we bring the large players into, Airstream? If you haven't been over to Jackson Center to see the Airstream experience, it's incredible. Like, it is worth the trip to go through the museum, and it's fun. But that's in the town of little tiny Jackson Center, Ohio, which is, less than 2,000 people. But imagine what we could do here as we bring Honda and other companies and other things that we're proud of into the fold of our community. How cool would it be the Heritage Center to have that here, right? Like, it's those kind of things, and maybe we can't fix the things of the old, but maybe those are things that we could be planning and thinking about for the future that we want to be a part of of the Uptown.
That was actually a really good idea. This is actually a two-part question. When it comes to a Main Street committee like you established in Bellefontaine, what do you think the biggest building blocks that are missing from what we have now? And do you think that what we have now is headed in the right direction? Do you agree with that or disagree with that?
So here's what I can share. The early days of doing all this, the best word that you can describe it is messy. And people are messy because they are very passionate. They may be experienced or not experienced. There's two ways to learn. Either you can listen and absorb the lessons from others, or you have to go through it on your own. I happen to be, well, especially my early part of my life, I'm getting better at it now, but I had to be the one to go through it. I didn't believe when I would hear things from other people, I was like, well, that's not my situation, or my situation's different. But I guess like what I would say is I think what's happening here is really, first off, there's so much going for Union County and Marysville, it's incredible. Where we trip up on ourselves is we have to accept that people are not perfect and they're messy, but we've got to have a vision to get some energy and momentum that we're all proud of. And if that, for a lot of years, has been Festive Fair, for a lot of years, and it should be, that's an incredible event. But there's so much more that we can do, and it might be something as simple as something that's visual that we do at the streetscape. I mean, the flower pots are gorgeous here. And it's finding, what are the things that we make the inventory, the things we're proud of? What are the creative ideas that maybe, hey, let's go at this together, and I think this could be fun and interesting and getting people on board. I think the more projects and examples that we can do that, because it's overwhelming if you think of, oh, we want to have 4 new restaurants and this vibrant downtown scene. That will not happen right away. It's incremental things. So if like in your business, if these amazing breads and food and passion that you have, I think it's combining it just like with some other businesses that share that same energy and passion, and then you guys be the example. You set the standard of like, this is our tribe, this is who we are, we want you to be a part of this, and we want to, with Uptown, with Main Street Marysville, like this is the kind of vibe that we're setting. Because it's so easy, and you may not, again, get consensus, but if people see positivity and good things coming from you and you're making money, they want to be a part of that too. But to be honest, like you need the governance of people coming together for meetings and working with the city and the chamber and all the partners. But it's okay to like also have some things that you're doing in your business that you're testing out that you can share with that group too. Both of them can coexist and need to coexist. Yes.
What role do you see the arts playing in the development? You know, visual, music, that type of thing.
Okay, that probably didn't come out as well in this presentation today, but I am an arts nerd. This week I took my nephews to Holland. They had an event called Artrageous, which brought in this troupe that's been traveling around the country, and they were in our schools in Logan County this week. But it was a live performance with music while they're painting on stage, lots of colors and activity. I left like, we gave this group a standing ovation. They were just really a lot of fun. They took that art that they live painted on our streets, and it's moving into the storefronts of empty buildings that are on our main street. And I think the artist's experience could be a mural on a wall. It could be, it kind of shows itself and expresses itself in a different way in placemaking too. So I'll just say my little fun experiment that I've had. I bought got a good sale, an end of season sale. I bought 21 Adirondack chairs between Wayfair and Amazon and some of the online sellers that were all less than $120 a piece, probably about half price of what they normally are, and they were all fun, funky, different colors. And then on Saturday, Nick, what did we do on Saturday?
We got up bright and early and put them all out.
So
Bright and early.
it was bright and early, but we paired the colors of the chairs that complemented. So if you had a dark blue building, I put bright orange chairs in front of that. So if you walk in downtown Bellefontaine today, and all of them have cup holders, by the way. Do you know why I want them to have cup holders?
Dora.
Dora, coffee shops. Now, in our city, gotta keep 4 feet distance, because we wanna make sure it's handicap accessible and safe. But particularly in Bellefontaine, they have been very liberal in allowing the business owners to, I call activate the sidewalks, but I would also share that there's plenty of people in planning and code review that would say, that's junk that's on your sidewalks. So if the antique store brings out its rusty urns and an old milk cart and a few things, to me, the way I look at downtowns is I am drawn to the funky, fun, unique sides of it. And I truthfully think the same thing about signs. So I am kind of notorious in and around the state of busting sign codes because I happen to love signs. I think they're the lifeblood of a small business because Yellow Pages, radio, newspaper, and even digital marketing is so expensive and doesn't really get the reach anymore. But signs are one of the oldest and most traditional forms of advertising. So in our town, we have everything from sidewalk signs to projecting signs to wayfinding signs. And I love when businesses have a little personality with their signs because I think it's fun to read what the sidewalk signs say and the creativity of the business owner. So we need artists that will help think about the window displays, the creativity, and bringing them onto the Main Street board is immensely important. So I'll just share another quick tidbit. We just bought the domain name ohioschristmascapital.com in Bellefontaine. And we built a logo and had an artist create a brand that says Christmas Capital of Ohio. I'm not going to execute it this year, but we are preparing everything this year to next year. Everyone's looking for how to become a Hallmark town. Well, we're taking Umbrella Alley and making it Mistletoe Alley. We have a mistletoe booth that we stole from Grapevine, Texas, who I think built the coolest little one. We have a local maker that's making this mistletoe booth. It's perfect for photos. I bought an old 1980s Jeep front that we're putting a back on it that you can sit in the downtown and get a perfect Christmas vignette picture with your family. We have a muralist out of Plain City. Nick, what's our muralist name? You guys might know him. He's actually Brad White. His construction company is called Good Boy Construction. Guy's super creative, doing great TikToks. He is actually going to help us make this up. I want, again, people, when families can come take photos, they're posting it online. And part of it's just planting a flag to be known for something. And I think we in Marysville need to plant our flag to be known for something. What is it? What do we want to do? But all these little investments, and I'd probably say we're probably total in all this Christmas stuff, maybe going to raise $2,000, but that's going to be the $2,000 that could generate $100,000 in sales into the downtown. That's the kind of guerrilla stuff that I think we've got to work together to do. And truthfully, I think it'll be a big shot in your arm for your Main Street group to work on those things and maybe not get stuck as much in what I call the committee work.
All right, can we get a round of applause for
Thank
Jason? Guys, thank you all for coming out again today, and I just wanted to share a couple other Main Street events we have coming up. We have on Saturday, October 26th, starting at 10 a.m. for a couple hours, is our Scarysville. I'm sure this is a community event that most people know about, but if you are unfamiliar, it is our trick-or-treating uptown. Our local business owners and shopkeepers will be handing out candy and treats, so bring your kids out, bring yourself out in costume, and enjoy walking around our uptown. And then on Saturday, November 30th, from the afternoon, from roughly noon to 7, it's Small Business Saturday. That's always the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So come out and shop local, start doing your holiday shopping, and there should be a couple of fun activities you can do throughout the day while you're walking around our uptown. Those events are on our social media and our website, so please like, follow, and share Main Street Marysville. You can sign up for our newsletter, and we hope to see you at future Main Street events. Thanks, everybody.